jump into a match preview against Brighton. Brighton have had a very weird start to the season. They've drawn at home to Fulham, then lost away at Everton, then beat Man City at home, and then lost away at Bournemouth. I think each game they've played relatively well. Brighton, the
Mhm.
Fulham game at home, they were leading up until very late on, and Mooney's got a last-minute equaliser, so unlucky not to win that. Lackluster away at Everton, albeit I think 2-0 maybe flat at Everton. I think they missed a penalty in that game as well, Brighton. Um, then we're 1-0 down against Man City, and it could have been more. They kind of hanging on, and then they went and turned it around in the second half. And then they gave a decent performance against Bournemouth before ending up on the losing side.
Mhm.
So Brighton are one of these tricky teams, extremely well run, very much like Bournemouth and Brentford
Yep.
and Palace. Very, very well run team. And you've got to give Tony Bloom so much credit. I give a lot of credit to these kind of mid-range teams who, back in maybe 10 years ago and so it was like it seemed as though the only way a team like a Brentford or a Brighton could stay up is to play like Sean Dyche or Tony Pulis kind of
Yep.
football. That was the only way they were gonna sustain themselves in the Premier League. But Brighton and Bournemouth are two examples of clubs who have seen that that isn't the only way. You can bring exciting attacking football and be kind of a team that is a they're now part of the Premier League essentially. They're
Yep.
getting closer and closer to Europe every year. They're kind of stalwart now, the Premier League. And they've done it through smart recruitment, hiring ambitious, exciting attacking managers as well, and not being scared about if we play like this we're going to go down because they have a certain way of playing, but it works for them and they got the recruitment spot on. And it doesn't matter how many players they lose; it seems as though they keep going again every single year. And Brighton are definitely one of those teams. And I just give these teams and the hierarchies they have so much credit because they've found a way of sustaining themselves in the Premier League without kind of making every game a ball fest and having to win every game 1-0.
Well, I think a big part of that as well, what you got to give Tony Bloom and the backroom staff credit for, is they have kept the same philosophy with all the managers.
Mhm.
So they haven't chopped and changed like we have or other teams do with defensive, attacking, win now projects. They always go for a manager that will play the same kind of style, let's say the Brighton way, so to speak. And that allows their recruitment, which they are absolutely superb at. Not only do they find these players, but my God, the money they sell them on for after. And they just have another one off the conveyor belt, don't they? Look at Bournemouth, like you said. They lost three of their defenders last season. They've just brought in and taken off like nothing's happened. They deserve a lot of credit for what they do, and it's so refreshing. You mentioned the Man City performance. Well, they did it to us last season with a 2-0 lead,
Yep.
didn't they? They
Yep.
they 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 perform well at home. The great thing with it this year is, like you said, when we were just wrapping up the team lineup, is we have so many different options to bring on from the bench, like a guaranteed or easily could be first teamers and starters. So that has a huge impact on what we can do this season. But these games are normally very tight, haven't they? They've always been by the odd goal. It hasn't been a hammering from either side or a convincing win. It's been very, very tight, these games at home. Oh, and at Tottenham, to be fair. This is a team where we have mixed results against them for. So let's hope Thomas Frank can find the answer. And this is, I would say, and I've said it before, I think this is a bigger test than Manchester City away because
Mm.
of the Bournemouth game, and because we seem to have Man City's number. This is okay. What did you learn from Bournemouth? How are you going to progress it and get the answers and answer the questions that were asked of you? And let's see what he's got. But this is a tough, tough game.
Yeah, and it's against these kind of teams where a lot of it's so easy to drop your guard. It's so easy to think that you're better than them because you're a bigger name and you should be going there and winning. When these are very, very tough games, and these are the games where you learn a lot from your team when you're up for it against a Brighton on a Saturday afternoon when they're going to be up for it, they're going to be coming at you, and you need to be your very best. Like you drop off your standards, and teams like Brighton can punish you, absolutely punish you, and this is going to be a very tough game. They've got so much quality as well in their team.
Hmm.
They've got a fantastic. There's no reason why everyone always seems to raid Brighton every year as well because they're brilliant recruitment. I think Yakuba Minto and Mitoma on the wings.
Yeah.
They are in for a difficult ride. Which is why actually, do we want to Spence in the doggy there just to make sure those wings are not getting punished because Mitoma and Minte are so dangerous, so
Yeah.
good dribbling. They're fantastic with the ball at their feet, and Brighton definitely do very well to kind of get them involved as much as possible, getting them running at your fullbacks. And yeah, Porro obviously struggled against Semenyo, and he's going to be up against Matoma this time, and it's going to not be an easy game for him.
Do you want to make a late change to the predicted lineup, or is it locked in? Now you said
Locked it
that.
in now. We've locked it in. I kind of feel like maybe he will go Spence in the doggy though, because well, why? What do you feel? Do you feel the same?
As soon as you mention the wingers, then you start thinking. Then you do start thinking. But then you look at, is Destiny 100% fit? Is he ready? He's getting the minutes. But like I said, I'd like to see him start, and maybe he can't last a whole game. But would you rather have him in for those reasons and then bring on a Porro or a Spence and switch Spence over? Well, it's a tough one now that you've mentioned those wingers. It's a tough one.
Either way, it's going to be a tough day. They rely so
Yeah,
much on their creativity. You got Rutter, who I'm a big fan of his as well. They've got him in the kind of number 10 position. Baleba, I mean, what a midfielder he is. We're going to have to try and dominate him in the middle. Um, I do look at their back line and think, can we get their back line? Is this, they leave themselves open sometimes. And I think individually they're good defenders, but as a unit, I think definitely their back line is something we can look at and think, can we get the advantage there? But I do like Van Hecker. He's a very good centre back.
yeah.
We'll have him tall, strong. He's like a bit of a Van der Ven light, I feel, Van Hecker. And I like it.
A light. Yeah, but also remember just before we came on live on the stream, it was announced that Brighton could have two players out, one of them being Hinselwood, who absolutely destroyed us
Mhm.
in the final game of the season. Right, half the team were obviously still celebrating the Europa Cup victory. And the other guy, De Croya, is that how you pronounce his name? So that could have an impact.
Yeah, I think it's Decipher.
Just there you go. My bad
Mm.
for trying to. That's why I don't try and do these words and I butcher them. So yeah, let's go decipher.
Couldn't decipher what his pronunciation was,
There
Brian.
we go.
Yeah, so yeah, he's missing, but they do have Kadioglu coming. He's back fit again, so he's available. And they've just built themselves such a nice little squad of good technical players.
Yeah,
It's just smart recruitment. They always sign these players no one's ever heard of. I look at their bench. I probably haven't heard of half their players yet. They always turn out to be amazing every
they do.
time, and they sold over 100 million.
It's incredible. This is the thing. Brighton deserve a lot of credit for what they do. And like you said, I think unlike Bournemouth, who have been relegated and come back, Brighton haven't been relegated since they've been here, have they? They have literally, like you said, they've become like a staple of the Premier League list. You don't even ever question the thought of them struggling. And it's a fair play to how they've built the vision that they've had. And every season, as you said correctly, they're now a top half fixture, aren't they? As opposed to bottom half, and it's an incredible journey.
And they're getting closer and closer to Europe every year. We are
Yep.
really lucky.
They've been in Europe 1 year, haven't they?
Were they in Europe? Yeah, they were in it. They were in it a couple of years
They
ago.
were in it once. I can't remember if it was the Conference League or the Europa League, but they definitely made it into Europe one season.
Mm. Yeah, because I remember they played Ajax. They had Ansu Fati in their team. Do you reckon though their model? Because I remember it was quite similar to Southampton a few years ago, where Southampton had an unbelievable squad and they kept like recruiting very smartly and just selling their players to Liverpool and other
Hmm.
big teams. But it caught up with them at some point. They just couldn't keep doing it. And at the end of the day, like how long can you just keep finding that talent and keep sustaining yourself in that way unless you're really, really good at recruitment? Like at some point, are they going to have to get into a position where they're keeping these players and then building off it, or is it sustainable to just to keep every year selling them and reinvesting that money?
I think it's a bit of both, Sim. the more and more they do it, and if they can get, if they, let's just say they got Conference League or Europa League, and they made it that they were a fixture in it, maybe that changes how they look at it and how they do it. But you know, they are just so far ahead of everyone when it comes to it. I mean, you got to remember Southampton also had that incredible youth academy to also add players to the youngsters that they found. Their youth academy at one point was absolutely insane,
Yeah.
uh, and they had that. But Brighton, when they get these players, you never hear any other team kind of looking at them, do you? And you got to think right now, if you're a talent that Brighton are looking at, and they do come in for you, even if they do have rivals, you'd look at Brighton and say, well, look what they do for players. Look at the stepping stone, or I don't mean to be disrespectful to Brighton, the pathway you get
Yeah.
from Brighton, getting regular football, getting established, and then moving on. If put it this way, we used to talk about if you're a youngster and Ajax came in for you, you want to go to Ajax
Mhm.
because of what they do, or a Southampton. But I think that's the same for Brighton right now with players of this caliber.
Mhm.
They can see a clear pathway and how they look after these players. I think they're the front runners in these kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's clear evidence that what a move to Brighton can do for your career, I think, well,
Yeah.
clearly what's happening. So I think they have really good selling points from that point of view. And yeah, they've done a phenomenal job. So it is not going to be, sorry, it's not going to be an easy game
No.
whatsoever going away to Brighton. Like, do you go there expecting a win? If
Yes.
I told you today it's a draw, would you be like, that's a really bad result? Or would you, yeah, you know what, Brighton away, you can lose those games.
Put it this way, there's certain games where I always say, would you take the draw now or would you roll the dice? And this one, I roll the dice. I think this game might be the game where we see a lot more from the front line and midfield being creative. I think this kind of game, the way Brighton play, may allow us that space and time on the ball. And unlike Bournemouth, the Bournemouth fixture, we didn't have Xavi Simons.
Mhm.
So I think there's going to be added quality there and creativity. So I think this could be the game where we see the first real stepping stone into what a frank attacking team can do. So this game, I'm definitely rolling the dice. Put it this way: if it's a draw, it's another game without a defeat. But I would roll the dice. I do think we win, and I'm looking forward to this game being a very open game of football.
Yeah, I'm kind of undecided. I'm just looking at how we're playing at the moment, and I think it's going to be very tough to go there and play like that and expect to win. I think we can win. Obviously, our defensive unit is so solid. So if we can get a goal and just hold them out, because I still think as much as they've got unbelievable quality, they are still relying on like Danny Welbeck up front. Russ is not the most clinical player. So they are players you can shut them out in terms of they missing that little edge in the forward line, I think, Brighton. They've got like a lot of good players. There's no one I fear like if we give him a chance, he's definitely going to score. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they've got players there who can cause problems, but they're not like guaranteed to get a goal. So I do think if we can get in the lead, manage the game, I do think there's a good chance we'll win. But just Brighton there's one of these teams where you think you're going there as favourites, but then you realise how tough your game you're in for when once the game kicks off, and they're going to be right on top of us. They're going to be at home. You know, they're going to be playing attacking football. They're going to bring it on us. So it's about us riding the storm, not taking this game for granted, making sure we're doing all the right things defensively, and then just being very careful when we get the forward line. Because I think we can all agree our attacking play is just not quite there yet.
Hmm.
Frank's admitted it himself. So
Yep.
I hope it starts to click. But I don't know whether, when it comes to like attacking play, whether that's something is that going to be a gradual thing where over time we just start seeing gradual improvement in it, or is it going to be just one game and it's going to click in there and like bam, we're going to be flying? So I don't know what kind of how it's gonna happen, but I do think because the way Frank describes it in his press conference, he said we're building layers into our attacking play,
Yep.
and and at the moment we're still doing that. So that kind of tells me is it going to be a gradual thing where we're gradually starting to see more from this attack? So do I think we're just going to be flying tomorrow? I mean, I'd love to see it. I don't know if that's going to be necessarily the case. We're also playing a team that's been together now. This hurts his third season. They're very settled together. A lot of these players, I know they sell a lot of players, but a lot of these players have been together a while. So I don't go there expecting the win, to be honest. I don't. I think we will do very well to win there. I said something very similar in the Villarreal game, and obviously we did win. But I said it's
Hmm.
not going to be a comfortable win. I said it's going to be a win that's going to be very difficult. I don't expect to win comfortably like 2-0. I'll be very impressed if that happens. I think if we do win, it'll be very, very tight margins. And I think that's exactly what happened. Um, so I think I'm going there thinking a draw will be a decent result. I'm not saying we're go I'm not I don't think it's a good chance we lose. But I also don't think there's a good chance we win. I think a draw, I think I'm probably going to be a draw, to be honest. That's kind of my feeling. I think Brighton are a very good team where most teams would do well to go there and win. So I don't go there expecting a win in just where we are at the moment, just how I'm seeing us playing. So I think probably like something like a 1-1. Like I think Brighton might have spells where they're dominating possession. We have might spells where we're counter-attacking, getting opportunities, but I feel we might find it difficult tomorrow, to be honest. So I see maybe a 1 or maybe a 2-2, something like that. But I think Brighton are a very good team and we can't take them lightly tomorrow.
Do you know what? How the tables have turned. Because people used to be, I'm negative, I'm toxic. And I said, you see when Thomas Frank comes, how positive I'll be. Then you add the sprinkling of Levy gone. And then you chat, mate, I am the most positive and excited Spurs fan at the moment. I am absolutely loving where we are. You say the layers. Do you know what I look at or I read into it when Thomas Frank says layers? I'm thinking he means the correct combination of
Hmm.
forwards because obviously we need to see he's probably trying so many different variations. He's probably got Justin Cochran trying loads of new things and coaching. It's such an exciting thing
Yeah.
to be at the moment. And like I said, I know where you're going with Brighton, being a hard place to come. But I literally at the moment, I'm not saying where I am with Pete Poch in the last season of Lane, where it's like, right, we're in it, winning every game. But I am. I think the biggest question for us was not whether it will be open play or whatever. I think the biggest question is now, if Spurs score first,
Hmm.
do you trust Spurs to see it out? And
Yeah.
100%. Now I mean, last season and prior seasons, you would go, yeah, we need more than one goal to get the job done. We need that. The way the defence are and the way Vicario has performed, should Spurs score first, like we did Villarreal. I mean, seasons gone by, even with Mourinho, 1-0 in the fourth minute. Do we trust Spurs to see out the gate for 86 minutes? I think that would be debatable
Hmm.
at times. I really do. Whereas now it's like, okay, I've got every faith, set pieces, and in open play that will lock this down. And I do think tomorrow we do concede a goal. I do think there just might be too much with Brighton to concede a goal. But I'm going for a very convincing 3-1 win.
3.
We're going to get the 3 points. I really do think we are in such a good place. And all these games where like Villarreal, where we didn't perform well, let's say, but got the job done. I think that is breathing so much confidence into the players that do you know what, we can win ugly. We can have a poor performance like overall, but get the job done. And I think the momentum is building. We've gone to West Ham away, a place where we notoriously don't really get the right results. Clean sheet, biggest win since 1967. Back in the Champions League, Thomas Frank's debut, 5 players making their Premier League debut, Champions League debut. Yeah, it weren't the greatest spectacle, but it's 3 very valuable points.
Hmm.
And I think the same thing happens tomorrow. But I think we have a much more attack-minded game tomorrow than we have seen recently.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Brighton will play into that because I think Villarreal naturally a bit more of a defensive team.
Hmm.
They're very organised. Brighton, they'll definitely try and beat us. They'll definitely try and score goals, and that should hopefully suit us. Look, and I take your point. I agree. I don't think this is me saying just because I don't think we'll win. It's not me saying like I'm not happy with how things are going or
Of
I
course.
don't believe in the manager. I'm just seeing how we're playing right now in the current in a few weeks time it might be different, but at the moment how we're playing, how Brighton play, where we are in this stage of this project. I just don't expect. I don't like think. Oh, we're definitely going to go there and win tomorrow. Like I just feel probably draw wouldn't be a bad result. I think it probably will be a draw tomorrow, and I think that would be it wouldn't be a negative result necessarily going away with Brighton and drawing. I don't think I would be happy with it. I wouldn't even necessarily say if you offered it to me now, would I take it? Probably not. Because I do think we're good enough to win. But I get the feeling tomorrow is going to be a very, very difficult game for us. And I think if people expecting us, not you necessarily, because I know you're not,
Yep.
but if people expecting us because we're on this run of good win or good results, if people think we're just going to rock up to Brighton and just easily win, I think people might be surprised. Albeit, if we do that, that will tell me a lot, to be honest.
Yep.
As that, like I said to Brains, if we go and beat Villarreal comfortably and it's easy for us, I'll be like, okay, wow, we're really on something serious now. But we didn't do that. Obviously, we won, but
Yep.
we just about beat them, which is great. But it didn't that I'm saying that in performance didn't tell me we're just going to go to Brighton and blow them away comfortably. It's going to be a difficult game. We're going to have our struggles still. I just want to see a bit more from us in that attacking phase, but that will come. As Frank said in his press conference as well, he said he was talking about the differences between coaching and defense and attack, and he said, coaching and defense is different because when it comes to attack, it's all about building those relationships with players, and that's where the free-flowing football comes when you know what your teammate's going to do before he even does it, and you can play on instinct with the knowledge of what they're going to do before they do it, and that can only simply come with time. Yes, occasionally a player comes and hits the ground running, maybe if they're really good, or usually it happens when you've got like a settled defense. Let's say I don't want to hate use this example, but let's say it's with Arsenal, right, and Gyökeres.
Hmm.
It can happen a bit quicker because they've got a settled team with like Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli. You're just adding like a final piece. So that attacking football's already in place, and you're just adding one piece. We've changed our whole front line. Kudus, Simmons, uh, either
Mawani.
even Richarlison, you can say is kind of new because he's barely.
Yep.
And you got Moani there, and Bergval's now playing a bit further forward. So that's like a completely new front line basically compared to last season where we had Son, Kulusevski, Madison. So they're basically having to relearn or learn essentially all these different relationships from scratch. That ain't gonna come immediately. You can't just put five new attackers to play into a team and go, okay, go play, go and do fluid football. That comes with time. So
Yep.
it's no surprise to me that we're looking a bit stodgy at the moment because the whole front line has changed. It's all different. So that's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take a few weeks, even months, to really click into gear. So I'm not expecting us to be playing free-flowing football at the moment. Now, if we had Madison, Kulusevski, and Son playing, and we just added a Moani or something, maybe I would be expecting a bit more because those guys know each other. But because
Yeah.
there is a brand new front line, it doesn't surprise me that we're looking the way we are at the moment.
So what I will ask is, Tim, and when you said it, I'd be a good question for you to answer, and for the people in the chat. I don't know where people stand on this. Forget the Thomas Frank or whatever, but what do you think Spurs, as Spurs fans, are learning more from now? Do you think convincing 3-1 win against Brighton, is that telling us more, even though we know Spurs can attack as a football club in previous years? We show, are we learning more from a 3-1 win, or are we learning more from a 1-0 like Villarreal,
Mhm.
where we played poorly but saw the job through? Is that telling us more about where Spurs are right now than if Spurs go win 3-1 and play attacking football the way we have done in years gone by? I don't know which one we learn more from. Obviously, you want to see from the view on the eye test. Obviously, you want to see a 3-1 open attacking game of football where Spurs dominate and we win the game. But we know we can do that. We know from previous years, previous man, we can do that. What we haven't learned is winning the ugly way and doing it. Obviously, like I said, so the eye test is obviously the 3-1, but where do we learn more from?
I know, I agree with that point, and it's getting a gritty 1-0 win where you're not conceding many chances is good, and we need to be capable of that, 100%. But I guess my only point would be the longer it goes on, where we're not seeing good
Yeah,
attacking
that I agree.
football, or we're not seeing this team click, the more questions are going to be raised. But I guess look, the longer we're winning, it doesn't really matter too much. But
Exactly.
you want to see that the Frank is capable of getting this team to play good attacking football at
Yeah.
some point. And um, as great as it is to win as we are now, I don't think, to be honest, it's sustainable to play like we are now over a whole season and expect to win the amount of games we want to. Um, albeit the defensive side is brilliant. Don't get me wrong, it's great. But and again, I'm not saying I expect us right now to be playing great attacking football because of what I've just said. All these different things need to click. I'm just saying the longer it goes on, the more questions are going to be asked. Okay, when is attacking football coming? When are we going to start to play good attacking football? Can he
Mhm.
coach good attacking football? I mean, I know he can, but I'm just saying
Yep.
the questions will come if the longer it goes on.
Yep.
So every game, it's like, okay, is this the game where it clicks? Is this the game? I'm not saying it has to be the next game. I'm not even expecting it to. I'm just saying the longer it goes on, let's say come December and we're still not seeing it, all of a sudden, okay, well, the questions will be asked. What's happening? Why aren't we playing good attacking football yet? So I guess that's kind of what I'm feeling. Why are we still having these kind of struggles in possession, all these things, blah, blah, blah. But I think right now, look, he's still very early on, and he's got obviously, and we're winning. So look, that's great and
Yeah.
it's fantastic, and he's doing a phenomenal job. He's doing a phenomenal job, Thomas Frank. I can't really say a bad word. I think what he's brought in is exactly what we've been missing when it comes to little details in the game, set pieces, getting those things right, because those things are only going to add to your game once you are playing well, once you have got the attack right. And then all of a sudden, they're going to have to find ways to stop you attacking and as well try to find ways to stop how you're getting goals
Mhm.
on the other side, which is those set pieces and all these different things. So it's just going to be another weapon to the armory. But just right now, it just feels like those are the main ways we are scoring, where those should be add-ons, if you know what I mean. Those should be little sprinkles on top of good attacking play. Whereas right now it's
Yeah.
like we're focused on that, which is look absolutely fine as long as we're winning. But once we stop getting the results and that's still the main focus, then questions will be asked.
Yeah. I mean, obviously having Xavi there as well as Kudus now to create is a big, big thing. I think as well, like we said, we've literally had to scrape through the start of this season with Richarlison and Tell
Mhm.
up front, which obviously limits their styles of play. Now there's Mawani. Hopefully, let's just say after the international break, just to be on the safe side with Solanke. Whether people like him or not, that's another attacking option. Then soon, as we're approaching Christmas and everything, Kulusevski, the options are coming in. The options are coming in, and I think, like I said, I've got no doubt that Frank will get the attacking and Justin Concrane will get the forward line firing.
And that's what he said as
But
well.
you
Frank
don't,
said he's got no doubt this team will score goals.
yeah, and this is what I also like. He comes out and he addresses the issues. He's not hiding from, okay, yeah, let's talk about the great defensive work. He's like, no, I know that the attacking play at the moment is not where it should be, but we'll get it there. And I think everyone should be having faith in Frank for what he's shown, not only defensively to come in and fix that, the emergence of Sarr this season, who has been, again, for me, the most improved player, the emergence of Bergval, who did very well under Ange, but is now showing both attacking and defensively what he can do. You can see it with certain players that are starting to improve, the partnerships that are starting to build. And once he's got that hammered in, like we said, I think we can all agree he hasn't been able to play whatever he has in his head as his first choice 11 in the first choice formation that he's wanted to play it. And I am very, very excited for when we first see that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so look, it's gonna be I think we will learn a lot from the team tomorrow and
Yep.
exactly what happens on the pitch. I think we're gonna learn a lot to see where the team at from Frank's point of view. I really hope tomorrow is the day it starts clicking and then we'll be all better for it. If it doesn't, we can still get the result. It shows that Frank can keep getting results even in the meantime while things aren't completely clicking, which is a brilliant kind of ability to have. And he said it himself as well, Frank. Like it's not going to click every game, and you can't just um, give up easy games and results when just sort of off the back of games not clicking. You still need to find a way, and right now we are, and that's fantastic. That's fantastic, but at some point we're going to have to show a more ability to attack, and that's
Yep.
it just has to happen. I'm just the only point I make is that we are still waiting for that to happen, and that's fine. I'm not running out of patience or anything. I'm just saying it hasn't happened yet, but it will happen. I'm pretty certain about that. I think Frank is a very smart manager, a very clever manager. He said he's watched all four of Brighton's games this season and some games last season. Like, he puts the work in, doesn't he? And
100%.
I think he's juggling so far when it comes to rotation. Um, he's juggling both competitions fairly well. Um, Interesting. I was listening to his press conference as well, and he said something which I think if Ange would have said it, people would have accused him of being certain thing. But he said he was asked about, oh, uh, did you drop off against Villarreal and 1-0, did you look to protect the result? And he said, look, for me, how I want my team to play, even if the score's 1-0 at all phases of the game, I want my team to be pressing high. I want my team to be aggressive and high press. And I was thinking, like, if Ange would have said that, he would have been told he only plays one way and he only has his plan A. But Frank said it and it's fine. But I thought it was quite interesting he said that because you don't associate Frank with saying things like that.
I think what I know where you're getting with that, but I think Frank at the moment, with four clean sheets out of five, has got the bit of faith and trust to say, do you know what? Let's see, because we want to see, like people say, they want to see the attacking football,
Hmm.
but he's doing it off a solid base.
Hmm.
When Ange said that, it was we're going to play this way, we're going to play this way, we're going to play this way, and obviously after 22 defeats
Hmm.
in a season, and you keep hearing the same thing, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we you know what I mean? That's the difference. At the moment, Frank, although it's only a small sample size, has shown that clean sheets can be reached, and probably that is he wants to see it more high press, so he can be more effective. But one of the things I love Sim is when you were, I don't know if it was actually in Hong Kong or Korea, but it's such a minor thing, but I love seeing it. They did Euro at the open training when they're doing the defensive shape on the halfway line where they're all coming back in a line together and making sure that that offside rule was done. It's just those small tinges, and I've heard fans say as well in the pre-game training when they're coming up before kickoff, they're literally doing these defensive drills with like going for the last, like putting your body on the line. And there has definitely been, which I have seen with Van der Ven, Paulinho, they're all putting their bodies on the line and literally the last ditch defending has improved greatly from these training drills. And now he's got that on lockdown. Saying I want to see more high press is the right thing to say. In the Ange Postecoglou ones, it's the last thing we wanted to hear. So
No, but
that.
he didn't say I want to see more high press. He said even if my team's 1-0 up, whatever the scoreline is, I want my team to be high pressing. That is what he's Frank
Well,
said.
again,
I thought it was interesting.
it, yeah, no, it's very interesting. But that's the thing. When he's keeping clean sheets
Mm,
and he's got it would be nice to see, wouldn't it? But he's
yeah.
building off a solid base now where he can say, do you know what? If we do high press, the structure of that defence, and let's be fair to Frank, unlike Ange, he's got a fit defence.
Hmm.
He's got at the moment, he's keeping the defenders fit, rotating and doing what he has to do with the substitutions, is allowing him to keep this defence in place. And let's just hope that it gets more and more. I mean, you can't get more solid than it is right now, can you?
One goal conceded. What can you say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if any of us had said all your predictions, if you said how many goals conceded within four Premier League games or five in general, if you want to, and I don't think anyone would have said one.
Exactly. No, yeah, for sure. And we've really done a great job so far. Let's hope it continues tomorrow. But look, that is your match preview for the game against Brighton. Let me know in the comment sections below what your thoughts are ahead of the game.